I now give the floor to Ms. Rosemary DiCarlo. Thank you. Good morning.
Mr. President, amid an already devastating escalation in the Middle East, the decision by Hizbullah to attack Israel on 2 March has again drawn Lebanon into a conflict it neither sought nor can afford. In violation of Security Council Resolution 1701, Hizbullah has since fired hundreds of projectiles, including rockets, missiles, and drones, from Lebanon into Israel and the occupied Syrian Golan. It has also warned those living south of the Blue Line to evacuate. Israel, in turn, has carried out extensive strikes in southern Beirut, across southern Lebanon, and in the Bekaa and Baalbek regions. These operations have reportedly killed over 570 people and left over 1,400 injured, according to the Lebanese government. Israel has also issued evacuation notices for these areas, triggering the displacement of over 500,000 people and creating yet another acute humanitarian emergency. Undersecretary General Tom Fletcher will brief you in more detail in this regard. The renewed violence across the Blue Line has largely erased the progress achieved in recent months to consolidate the cessation of hostilities. It also jeopardizes Lebanon's tradition of coexistence as fear and uncertainty heighten their intercommunal tensions. As the Secretary General previously reported, although the cessation of hostilities reached in November 2024 did not completely end the preceding violence, it brought substantial respite. Following the cessation of hostilities, the state of Lebanon also took historic and courageous steps to fulfill its obligations under Resolutions 1701 and 1559. In August, the government tasked the Lebanese Armed Forces with developing a plan to establish exclusive state control over weapons. And in January, the Lebanese Armed Forces announced that they had assumed operational control over the South Litani sector. Furthermore, civilian representatives from both parties participated in 2 meetings of the cessation of hostilities mechanism in December, a modest but meaningful step toward dialogue. Nevertheless, significant challenges persisted. Hizbullah refused to cooperate with the government's efforts to extend state authority throughout Lebanon and establish a monopoly over the possession and use of arms. Meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces maintained positions north of the Blue Line at 5 locations and 2 so-called buffer zones, while also conducting near-daily strikes on alleged Hizbullah and other non-state armed groups in Lebanon. Still, the progress achieved since November 2024 underscores the fact that security and stability for the people of Lebanon and Israel are attainable. It is vital to build on these advances, not squander them. It was therefore encouraging that on 9 March, President Aoun affirmed Lebanon's readiness to engage in direct negotiations with Israel under international auspices, with the aim of achieving a complete truce. He also proposed that the Lebanese Armed Forces, upon receiving urgent logistical support, would immediately take control of areas of tensions, confiscating all weapons and dismantling Hizbullah infrastructure. Prime Minister Salam has likewise reiterated Lebanon's commitment to achieving a state monopoly on arms. On 2 March, in condemning Hizbullah's actions, he affirmed the government's complete rejection of any military activity outside the scope of legitimate state institutions and reaffirmed the state's full authority over war and peace decisions. In a landmark statement, he announced the cabinet's decision prohibiting Hizbullah's military and security activities and mandating the immediate handover of weapons, tasking the Lebanese state security forces with the enforcement of this decision. These declarations have been accompanied by concrete measures. The Lebanese army has reported the detention of approximately 26 Lebanese nationals, including Hizbullah members, and one Palestinian, all for the illegal possession of weapons and ammunition. Judicial rulings have been passed down against some of the Hizbullah members arrested. Separately, on 5 March, the Lebanese government declared a ban on the activities of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in Lebanon and revoked visa-free entry for Iranian citizens. Mr. President, while more hard work will prove critical, such statements and actions are significant. They reflect a clear resolve of the Lebanese state, and they warrant the full support of this Council. The United Nations remains firmly committed to assisting all parties in meeting their responsibilities. To enable Lebanon to fulfill its obligations under Resolutions 1559 and 1701, an immediate de-escalation and cessation of violence is imperative. Hizbullah must cease its attacks on Israel and cooperate with the government's efforts to assert full state authority and establish a monopoly over weapons. Israel must halt its military campaign in Lebanon and withdraw its forces from Lebanese territory. The sovereignty and territorial integrity of both Lebanon and Israel must be upheld. All parties must respect their obligations under international law, including international humanitarian law. Civilians and civilian infrastructure must never be targeted. United Nations personnel must be protected. And the international community must scale up its support to the Lebanese state security services, particularly the Lebanese armed forces, to ensure they have the capacity and resources they critically require. The Secretary General continues to engage with member states to press for an end to this conflict. The Special Coordinator for Lebanon has been in contact with all relevant actors, including through a visit to Israel earlier this week, to advocate urgently for de-escalation and dialogue. As Undersecretary General Lacroix will report, UNIFIL peacekeepers remain in position along the Blue Line, often at great risk. To prevent further loss of life and to create the space for meaningful political engagement, violence must stop. Only then can the parties resume the difficult but indispensable work of building a stable and secure future for both Lebanon and Israel. We will continue to work closely with all concerned to restore calm and protect civilians. Our objective is straightforward: a return to a situation in which commitments under Resolutions 1559 and 1701 can be pursued in a credible and sustainable manner. This is a moment that requires restraint, responsibility, and a willingness to prioritize the well-being of the populations who bear the brunt of these hostilities. The United Nations stands ready to assist, but the decisions that shape the coming days must be guided by a collective recognition that further escalation benefits no one. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Ms. DiCarlo for her briefing.